this station is controlled by that computer over there, and it's quite cool. It has many options for what you can do with your trains. Are you interested? Keep watching to find out how to use it. Hey, how's it going? And welcome back to MyRail. I've been working on something really cool, and you're going to want to see it. So, let's get started. So we're over here in one of the Millionaire villages. This one I have just recently found, which is a Japanese village. And as you can see, there's quite a bit going on. Oh, and holes. But if we head over here into the main shopping centre place, we can go into here. We'll go stand up here, and someone should come sell us some stuff. Any moment now. There they are. If we have a look into here, these guys sell things that we already have, such as oak wood, a bit of spruce wood, all sorts of things that we can get easy access to, including gravel and leather and iron and all those things. But most importantly, one of the things that I would like to start selling is food. So they will take wheat, and they take one of the food sources that this mod has, which is rice. In order to start selling this, is we're going to have to go and put ourselves into sell goods. We are going to try and sell off these guys to make our reputation go up a little bit. That'll give us a little bit of money. We'll hit control and try and sell as much of this as possible. So we've got 4 denier out of that. And now of course we can buy some wheat, but most importantly we can buy a bit of rice. Probably just 1 rice, maybe 2. We'll go for 2 rice. We can also buy some other things that they sell here because we've now got some money. But most importantly, we've now got the ability to actually grow the rice that we need. So what we're going to do though, is there is a special characteristic about the rice here that we're going to have to know about. I'm going to need a hoe. We'll just go a stone hoe. We're going to walk outside the village here so we're not building in their land. We'll try and stick to defined paths. We'll head over here, probably just to this little piece of dirt. And if we till this piece of ground here, which stacks onto some interesting things. Oh, we've got some worms as well. We place down the rice. You do not know how to place this crop. You need to ask a village leader. So what we need to do is in here somewhere, there'll be a guy who's got a crown on his head. Now he is the village leader, so we're going to just try and find him. Another one. He'll be around somewhere. There they are. We'll just go into here. In the village, your status is no one face. We've seen you around before, but that does not make me trust you. That's fine. What we actually need to know, your reputation is too low for the village to teach you how to plant rice. So what we're going to have to do is try and get our reputation up. Now we sold all that oak wood and we didn't get a very great reputation out of it. So if we go back into here, we can look and see what they will sell us for a better... Well, they take eggs. We'll just give them the eggs. But what is worth a lot of money to them? So 160. If we give them some gold ingots, which we are making, we could get 160 for it. With sand, some leather. I don't think we've got leather being made anywhere, but iron. Let me go grab some gold, because that's going to give us 160 gain when we're giving it away. And I'll be back in a moment. Right, so I managed to get some gold, and we'll head down here, back into their town hall shop thing. We'll wait for the guy to sell us some stuff. There they are. Click on this guy, and if we make sure we're in giveaway so we get the most reputation, got a little bit here, so hopefully this will be enough. We just hold down shift and sell all that. We have made an achievement. One of us, okay. Let's go try and find our village leader again. One of us. We need 4A and 20D. So we need a lot more, apparently. A lot more. So, I'll go get some more gold. And I will sell that off. And hopefully, though, that will give us what we need to actually buy the ability to plant things. So, I'll be back in a moment. Now, we can buy various different buildings if we want. We could buy the village scroll. But really what we need here is the 8 to learn how to plant rice. So we'll grab that, and we can of course produce much more rice than they can. I think what we're going to do is, I've got a brilliant plan on using something that we've done a while ago. So let's go have a look at there and see what we can do. So where I am now is, what was the canola farm that we set up in the older version of the pack. And as you can see, the upgrade from 1.10 to 1.12 managed to delete all the actually addition stuff and all the mechanism piping, and I haven't really been back here to fix it. And one of the reasons for that is all the stuff that was using the canola has also gone, but we're also making a lot of canola. But I thought what we can do is we'll set this back up, but instead of using it just for canola, we can make other things here as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all the greenhouse glass back in, and the farmers, and all the piping and stuff, and I will be back in a moment. Okay, so that's everything in place. And we'll start the farmer. Now, what I've got here is I've got a selection of things. So we've got our canola, which we were making previously. We're going to have to continue making canola. So we're going to put some canola in here. And this guy will ultimately till the ground and start placing things down. It grows really, really quickly, because greenhouse glass here gives a bone meal effect to anything around it. And as you can see, we've got tall grass everywhere. Now, I don't know what happens with these flowers. They're going to be interesting. I might have to go back and fix them up. But I'm thinking each one of these is pretty much the same layout. We only really need one canola area. So there you go. And I'm assuming it placed more. Yep. I'm thinking I only really need one canola farm, because we were making way too much canola before. So what we're going to do with the second one here is we can put down our rice. And now that we know how to place rice, it'll actually place the rice down. You can see it placing it here. And it looks like it actually went in a row that time and didn't take up the flour. But that's fine, we can come back and look at that. This one here, we can put in something like wheat, which is something else that's required. Don't quite know what we're going to place into the back three. I might either do more canola or carrots. For now, we'll just leave it as an overgrown mess, because tall grass can't be farmed, apparently. Right, so it's turned to night after I ended recording. And you can already see that it's filled up this whole thing, and we've got spare rice. So we'll be able to sell this to our villagers. The other thing I'm not sure about is why we don't have spare, but that might be because they're in there, and of course it's turned to day and flowers are regrowing. Cool, that's done that. Awesome. And I will do the other two as well. So I said at the beginning of the episode that I had something cool planned. Previously, I had a single station in here, which of course was picking up the canola and taking it over to our powered system generator thing, which we still need to rebuild. But you can see I've got a computer here, because one of the things I've found out is with Computronics, there is a couple of things in here called a digital signal receiver box and a digital signal controller box. And if we look at the signals from Railcraft, we've got the controllers, and we've got receivers. And if we go along here, of course, we can place down a controller, say, actually, we can do a relay box as well. So if we go and place one of these in here, and we'll need one of these guys as well, and one of these as well. So we'll link this guy probably just down to here. This is only a test after all. We can link it to probably here. Link that into there. It should turn green. We can place a controller box on this and link it up to a digital receiver box over here. We'll just place it there for now. I'll probably move this at some point. We'll need to link that by cable to there. Alright, this has to go to top. Like that. And we just want a normal controller box there. Controller box from there, and we'll link that. Just like we're linking a normal Railcraft signal. We'll link that to here. turns green and links up. Very cool. We can also, if we wanted to, have another controller. Let's say we had a controller here. We can link this guy to the same one. And they link up. We don't lose a signal. Because normally what happens is you link a receiver to a controller, you change the receiver, and the old one stops working. This one you can have up to, I think it's 32 controllers linked to it. And it's the same with receivers. So we can go into here, we can put a digital receiver box in, and we'll place a cable next to it. Controller box in, and we can link this guy to, say, a receiver, which we're going to put here, which would be our entrance, for example. And of course we could put a locking track down there, locking track into there. And then of course this guy, what's green, can control that. And the same thing applies there. We can also put, say, let's go with a distance signal. Distant signal, one of these guys. We could link that to there as well. So let's go take it from there and we'll link it to here. Or maybe that's a bad example. Maybe we want to have another signal over here because that's hidden away. Let's put it here. We'll grab our signal from there, link it to there, and you can see it goes green. That one's green. That one's green. Now what we do need to do though is we need to label these. So let's grab ourselves a signal labeler, or signal label, and an anvil. Put the anvil over here. Actually no, we'll put the anvil over here because it's going to be quicker to get them here. We put the label into here. Let's say we'll call this entrance. We can go and label, hold down shift, label that one, label that one, label, I put down another controller box there. That wasn't what I wanted to do at all. We want to put down a controller box there for no reason at all. We wanted to label this one. So you can see when you hover over them, they say entrance, which is a really good way of identifying what the signal is for. If we go over here though, this of course is our controller. We can label that guy. And we could possibly set another label. Let's go into here, let's call it entrance 2 for the moment. And we can label that guy, which is another controller, who is not linked to anything. So let's just quickly link that over to here. To that one. And then maybe we'll put down a receiver. I don't know, we'll just put one randomly here. We'll label that one entrance 2 as well and link it up. So we're going from our controller to a receiver. So now we have multiple controllers on here. Quite a number of controllers. Some of them have the same name. So this has got entrance 2. Some of them have entrance. And they're all linked up to one of these two devices. Just as if they were Railcraft. The controllers go to the receivers, and the receivers go to the controllers, or the digital controllers go to the receivers. If we go into here though, and if you don't want to see a computer code, you can skip forward a little bit, and I'll put a little notation where it is. Won't be long though. We'll go into Lua. We can go component.digital receiver box, get signals, or get signal names. So we can see that we've got two names there, entrance and entrance 2. We can get, from here, get aspect of, say, entrance, which is 1, which doesn't mean a lot. But of course we're reading in the receiver here, this guy, so that controller over there is currently returning a signal 1, which is actually green. And we can find that out by going to aspects. These are aspects here. We've got green, and green equals 1. Or we could go like that to get green. And the cool part though is we can also go digital controller box set aspect, and we can say entrance. Let's go, what do we got? So we've got blink red, 4. Look over here, this guy's set to blinking red because it's the last controller. This guy though is still set to green, but over here all these guys are blinking red because we've told them all the entrances to be red. It also means though that we could do something even cooler. We can mirror the setup of a normal controller receiver setup, but have multiple devices connected by just doing something like this. Component.digital receiver box, get aspect, entrance. Oops, embrace. And now, whatever the controller there is what's set here. So that's entrance there. If, however, you have to note that if I change this to say, well, we could put a cart on here, couldn't we? Cart. Put a cart into here. This guy goes red. That guy goes red. This guy goes red because, of course, that's the block signal we're following. But these guys stay currently as green. We would have to rerun or tell it to match the signal like that. And now they'll all be red. Except for, of course, this guy. So let me quickly convert this to a multi-platform station, and I'll be back in a second. Right, so I've set up a 4-platform station. Very, very basic thing. We've got, of course, the relay blocks, which go from here to there. So that's the bottom one there is this one line, and that just mirrored the whole way around. So that one there is connected up to this one, and so on. We've got the controllers here, which are connected to the relay box, so they'll send our signal over there. We've got a distance signal. Now I'm using a distance signal for a reason here, and I'll show you something cool you can do in a moment. And we've got our switch actuator motors here, which change the signal, or change the track, based on what is set up. Now, what we need to do, of course, is link all these guys up, so we can link up their controllers. So this guy here will link over to here, which I've moved the screen and these two from over there, just because it's quicker to get to these guys. We can grab this controller, we'll link that to that receiver, this controller, link it to that receiver, and that one there we're not currently doing. So those guys are linked up. We then grab this controller, we link that to this distance signal. This one here will link to that one, and we just work our way down the line for the first 3 stations at least. And same with these guys here, we just link them up, just like we're linking up normal Railcraft signals and actuators, and we can do the whole way along now, because that one doesn't have any difference at the end. Over on the other side here, we've got a very similar setup. So these are our exits. So of course this is our exit line, and we've got a relay box there which goes down to that one. So we're going to link this guy to the receiver, and then we're going to link all of these to the controller. Just like this, all the way along. And then what we need to do is, for platform 1, we're going to label all these. So we've linked everything up. They just all link to either one of these, easy as. For this one here, we're going to label this one. Well, let's label our controller first. So our controller is platform 1. We can then label the distance signal, and we can label the actuator motor. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't show that it's been labeled, but it is actually it is labeled. We can do the same. Platform 2, we don't need to go over there. Platform 2, platform 2, platform 2, platform 3, platform 3, platform 3. And I'll come back to the platform 4 in a second. And now exit. So we label this one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. Now for all the other platforms, you can see they're all linked up, they're all green. For platform 4 though, I used a dual head signal, because it is very rare I have a chance to use these. So if we go and set this up as a signal block, so we move that to our signal block at the bottom there. Of course, the top one will now be green. we can then take this as a controller signal, send it to the receiver, and now that'll be available in here. We can take the controller signal and send that to here, and now we have two greens. But if we place a train on here, the top one will be red because the block is taken, but the bottom one is controlled by the computer, so they will show whatever we want. And I thought I'd leave this one as a separate one. I might do this all of it because it's quite a cool effect. But I thought I'd leave this one because it might be a bit confusing as set up compared to these here, where of course it's just a signal block and the controller connects to the computer, and then the receiver connects to everything else related to it. We of course will need to label this one platform 4, hold down sneak, go over to here, label that one, and that's it. We don't need to label anything else. Really simple, only 2 devices involved. You can also use a signal block here as well, but of course you won't be able to change the signal to be different to what it is normally. So if it was green at the moment, you won't be able to change it. Whereas a distant signal we can. I've also linked up the entrance, and I've done the dual signal here as well. But now, what I've done is over here, I have written up a little bit of code. Very, very simple. Pretty much what we've done in the last little clip there. Except for now, we're just doing an event. We were looking for the aspect changed. Because when any of these change, or any of the controllers change, they send it back to the receiver. And that'll trigger this event. So we're waiting for an aspect change. When that happens, we then do exactly what we were doing before. We set the aspect of what the receiver says. So let's run that. And now, all these should be green until I put a train on. And now you can see, not sure if that's meant to happen, you hear the actuator motor change, but it also went red up here. Change it to that, it does that. Over here, which is our fancy one, we can do that. And now you can see both of them have changed. So the signal block is red, but the computer has said it's also red. And of course you can hear it making its change there. Now I've allowed a little bit of extra in case we want to add any more farms in. But for now I've just got 4 stations because that's all we should need. But that's the basic setup. And I think it's quite cool. But of course, now we can control each of these. We can go much further and give it a lot more control. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up some more advanced piece of code. And I'll be back in a moment. Oh, and I forgot to show the exits. You can just label them all and then do this. And they're all red. If you want to add another one, you just add another receiver in, give it the name exit, link it up, and you're done. Right, so we've made some changes to the station. The first major change that's here, as you can see that I've put some cart detector innies in just above the locking tracks here. And on top of that, we have some controller boxes, which are also linked back to our receiver. And they are now providing an interlock system, much like a standard one, except for in this case, these guys, instead of being default aspect red, they are reversed. So these are actually in the default state, rather than having to be modified, which makes it a lot easier to do. But otherwise, everything is the same for interlock. So we have our exit, which of course, if this line is busy and none of these will be let through. We have our cart detector innies and our controllers, which are sending signals back to there. And then that determines which one of these should be let free, and it will set one of these exits to be allowed through. You will notice, however, in this case, in order to do that, I couldn't just use exit on every single one of these, because each of these have to have a different signal. So I called them platform 1 exit, platform 2 exit, platform 3 exit, and so on. Just so that they're unique. You could, of course, use anything you want. As long as it ends with exit, it'll treat it as an exit line as part of this interlock system. And of course, these guys will need to match. So platform 2, platform 3 exit, and so on. Another thing I've done is here is I've just put the dual aspects in there because I think they look a little bit cooler, because you can see the state of the line, but you can also see what the signal is we're sending from the computer. But just to make it so it's very obvious, they're doing the same thing. I've left platform 1 as it is for the moment, and I'll likely change that over once we finish this episode. But once again, single box relay covering all that with a controller on it with the name. That's linked to platform 1 and over to there. This one's platform 1, and we've got our piece over here as well, which is also changed. So over here we used to have the actuator motors connected up to the controllers. I've since broken all these, reset them back so they're just default actuator motors, and I've added a receiver behind them, which I've moved the label and linked them up instead. Now the reason for that is if we have a look at the actuator here, there's a bug in this version of Railcraft where if I set anything on here, like if I set yellow, when we reopen it, it's set to green, yellow, blink, and blink, which isn't very safe because these three signals here mean that there's a train on the track, potentially, or something's wrong. But if we go back into here, so it doesn't do it there, but if I change it to remove blink red, for example, it'll just flick it back to red, which isn't an ideal situation. So rather than risk a train running into problems, I've just put another receiver behind them, and these guys are all controlled by redstone now, as if we'd done the actuator motor. The last final change that I've added in is here we've got the good old cart detector from Computronics here, which is just sending a signal to say, hey, there's a train here, and what the train is, what its name is, what its details, colours, all that things are sent back to the computer. And it will send back a signal which controls one here called detector, which you can't quite see the name there, but this one here is called detector, and it's the only one that doesn't really link up to anything. But it's called detector, and what that does is it controls this locking track, which is just a single one. It's not a train passing one. It manages one cart at a time. So the train comes up, it'll park the first train here, or actually it'll park the locomotive here. This guy will read it, send back a signal, and it will then tell the transposer to read whatever's inside the cart. The same, and then it will let this guy go once it's read it. The next cart will get parked, read, move on, move on. So in this case here, we've got dirt. So it would have just read, it would have detected this chest cart, made a note of it, told the transposer to read the contents of the chest cart. The transposer will have sent, hey, this has got dirt in the train, and then told it to move on to the next cart. And then we can filter on that item. So that's all changes that have actually been made to this station, except for we have a new interface. So you can see we've got unknown state here, which is just because it's booted up and it has no idea what that train is, because of course when it booted up, or before it booted up, the train had passed and it hasn't received the signal to be able to get it. So let's go into here and force the first platform to go green. And now we shall see the next cart come in. You'll see it stop, and it's reading each of the carts as it comes through to work out what it's got in it. And that will set up options. Lots and lots of options. We'll just close that again. If we go into platform 1, we can choose the minimum length for a train, the maximum length for a train, and some filtering. So let's say we want to only allow platform 1 to take a maximum or a minimum length of, say, 2. Now, any train that comes through has to be at least 2 for it to go into this line here. For example, that's got 3. And of course, most of your trains are going to, it just means if you've got a single engine, it won't go in there. But we can also say 3. And now it shouldn't allow, well, that train would be allowed. But it won't allow anything with less than 3 into there. We can do the same with the maximum length, so we can say it has to be maximum length of 3 or 4 or whatever. It doesn't really matter too much. We can disable platforms such as here, which will take the whole platform offline. But probably the most powerful thing in here is our set of filters. If we go into here, we can say if the train that's going past has none of these items here. So these are all the things that we've seen go past the signals. So we can say that no train that has a destination should go past. Let's get rid of this limitation. We'll hit done. And now, this guy will go past. There is one that, of course, it's the very last one that comes along. Anyway, now. Of course, it's as long as possible. So this guy doesn't have a destination. It's got no ticket in it. So it won't be able to use the first platform. And you can see that the first platform starts flashing yellow to indicate that it can't use it. And one of the things the code does, it'll only let one platform be released at a time. So only one of these platforms will go green when a train arrives. We can go into here though, and we can say, okay, so we could change that. We could put it back to no destination again. You can see what that train that's just gone through, making all that noise. This is the yellow stuff that's selected. So that's the name of that train. So if we wanted to, we can go, only the canola train is to go into that. Right, now we have no destination trains, which in theory we've got to, it's not going to matter because we've just set here. But we can say only the canola trains will go into here. And if they have no destination, or if we say they don't contain dirt, if none of the things that are in here are dirt, and it has to have canola, and let's say it has to be a black train. Actually, no, black's a bad example. Let's go red train. Right, because it's a canola train, but it's not red. So this should never use platform 1, even though it's the canola train. Shouldn't use platform 1 because it has to have all those. We can also do an any. Just say if it's also got any of these. So we could say it's got canola in it, or it's got a golden railway ticket in it. So this is basically an or. So this or this will allow it through. In this case, we're just going to set to that, and you can see now we're showing that we've got none and all selected. So we're looking for a red canola train. Anything else should not use platform 1. There's our canola train. What good timing. So you can see it's flashing yellow. And if we look up here, does not meet the all requirement. So all requirement was that it had to be canola and red. Well, that's a black and magenta one. So let's fix that. So let's make it a magenta train. And now when it comes through, it is going to choose to have this station. If it's not currently used. There is a little bit of logic in here as well that says, pick this one if it's available. Otherwise use one of these other ones. So if you wanted to, you could say, don't use this one, don't use this one, don't use this one. Or we could have it so that it has to be a combination. So here we go. So you can see it's made it green. Because it's read it, gone, it's a magenta canola train. And most of the time, it'll use this track unless it's not available. So there should be quite a nice, powerful system. If you want to use this in your own world for any reason, you've got a lot of control over what will go into your stations. And it's all quite easy to set up, because all you got to do is name your signals, and your receivers and your controllers, and that's it. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to put a controller next to a receiver to pass the signal on. Right, so we have more of a production ready station here. We have 3 platforms that load items. Of course, we could have 4 or 5 if we really wanted to, but at the moment we're good with 3. And I've got 1 overflow platform for where a train comes in and it's got items. This one here actually will load nothing in currently, but we do have space here if we need to load it. Now, of course, we could also say any one of these if it's got items, but we don't know the percentage on them. So if we go into here, the way this is set up, we'll start with platform 4, which is set to has all of, and it has to have all of has items. That's all. So platform 4 is an overflow, and we say if it's got any items on board, it'll skip all the other platforms. Platform 1 is set to has none of, has items. So all of these, except for platform 4, is set to has none for has items. So they must not have items at all. But otherwise, platform 1 is set to farms canola. Really simple. We're not going to do any fancy forwarding right at the moment, but we do have the option now to do that. So that's canola. Platform 2 is set to has all wheat, and platform 3 is set to has all rice. Everything else though I'm leaving default, because I think we don't need to set that up. There might be a time when we're producing so much rice we need multiple trains, or we're adding more items than we need to change the filtering. But otherwise, I think we're done for this. If you use this code, please do leave a comment down below. But otherwise, have a great day, and see ya!